their lives, how it's affecting everything that they do. So that's going to be the topic for today. So write that topic down: the role of energy, the role of electricity um, in small, petty, small, medium, and large Liberian businesses for economic empowerment and national development. So, what do you think about that before we kick off the show? We're a little bit late, so we'll make up our time on the other side. What do you think about it? While people are coming in, while people are sharing the live, please share the live feed on your Facebook page. Please, get more people to come on the show. We want more people to participate today. What do you think about that topic, Rufus?
Yeah, like we stated last edition, electricity is very, very much important. It plays a pivotal role in the drive of our economy, because without electricity, equipment that we use, things that we need to do, faster work cannot be done without electricity. And more to that, when we do not have stable electricity, it burdens us as it relates to our spending. Like for some of us who run radio stations, that's one of the major challenges the media face in Liberia. If you are a media owner, or if you are a media practitioner that runs a radio or television station, whatever it is, if you do not have a stable electricity, you only depend on generator, you spend more. And looking at the economy and looking at the business climate in Liberia, how many Liberians take on to advertise? And even with the ones that are advertising with us, how much are they willing to pay for a month or two? They will get to beat you to the lowest, because you do not want to waste the airtime. You do not want to just allow music. So you take these little change just to keep the station running and active. But trust me, you go deeper, even to make money to the extent for salaries. It's difficult. So it's a serious challenge. One more about people who are doing frozen food businesses. It becomes so challenging for them. Restaurant, the cold story. And that's why you see a lot of inflation in the prices as it relates to frozen goods and other things. Because somebody won't be burning, if you have a generator that burns 2 gallons per hour, and you are going 12 hours or 18 hours. Calculate 18 hours. How many gallons of fuel you will be burning within that course of time, and how much you will be spending. Unlike when you have a stable electricity where you put in your token, say, okay, I buy. For us, let me just give you an analysis of what we have here. Before, when we buy the $100 current, it take us almost a week before we think about getting another. But now it's so difficult. How much do we spend on fuel? LEC is not constant as a shoe. So the more we spend on fuel and the business is not coming, it becomes so challenging. So NEJ plays a pivotal role in the full growing of our economy.
Yeah, and I think one of the greatest challenges of our time in Liberia, as a country, as a nation, as a people, is this reality. And sometimes the reality is there, but we're challenged in trying to observe the reality, understand the reality, come to terms with the reality, and then trying to figure out how to deal with the reality. Most times people cannot deal with realities that that's facing them, simply because they don't have, the right understanding of it. They don't have the proper knowledge of it. So the approach to it will be greatly inadequate. And then what it does, there's a greater lack of understanding as to, what the overall, short, medium, and long-term effects of this reality, what it will, what impact it will make on the lives, the future, and the destinies of the 4, 5, or 7 million or 20 million people living within the borders of that country. And that's what I want to talk about today, Rufus. Let's talk about it. That's why, my backdrop, I've made the power substation. I made the power substation my backdrop today because I really want to go into this and talk about how it truly affects Liberian businesses, how it truly affects businesses, national economies across the African continent, and what we as a people, we who understand this, what can we do about this? How can we bring these realities to the forefront? And how can we drive these realities so that we can do it in a professional way, so that leadership, whether leadership be government, whether leadership be, any, aspects of or branches of government will take note of it and adjust their policies and those programs so that they will meet the objective, so that they will be able to gain the proper understanding from these discussions, not see it as criticism, but see it as education, see it as enlightenment, see it as bringing forth a level of understanding that they can, I know, Mr. Alio Kamara, you're late for class, so minus 10 points. Thank you for joining the show. Please share the live feed on your page and let's encourage more people to come in. So I think I really want to drive this point home to everyone listening on the show today. Energy is, there's a saying that talks about light, right? Light is life. Light is life. This thing, this backdrop, this power substation behind me, this is the foundation. This is the essence. This is the engine for any nation, any people's growth, development, progress, and it affects all aspects of the economy, be it education, be it small, medium, large industries, and most importantly, the business community. The business community depends on the constant nature of energy. They build their future, and this energy thing you see behind me, this substation, it is the very essence. It is the primary ingredient that stimulates innovation, creativity within a country, within a nation, within a people. You cannot have creativity and innovation that would drive the economy forward, that would create more jobs, bring more ideas, attract foreign investment, attract the diaspora, even refine your natural resources, add for value add so that you can create more jobs, so that with that which you are exporting, instead of exporting raw iron ore, you can now export pelletized iron ore, which attracts a higher value. So that means you will attract a higher tax revenue from exporting pelletized iron ore compared to just exporting raw iron ore. So I think these are things that that we need to discuss. We need to discuss them in a professional manner, in a professional way, so that we can drive the change. We can drive the transformation in our country. Energy is the primary ingredient for economic transformation, for national development. If you truly want to grow your economy, to grow your GDP, grow your GNP, create more jobs, increase your tax base, reduce poverty, increase quality of life, reduce the cost of living. All of these things depend wholly and solely 100% on the supply, the effective distribution and transmission and provision of this thing behind me, electricity. Electricity is it. Electricity is life. I mean, and life, without this, a nation cannot prosper, a nation cannot grow, a people cannot improve, nor any aspect of the economy can grow or attract proper, effective quality type of foreign investors to come in, because this is not there. So I really want to talk about this today. We're not making this discussion personal, as some people may take it, but this is something that we as a people, we need to face this, because this is the number one thing that is holding Liberia back. This is the number one thing, Rufus. So you, as a small business, you were talking earlier about the cost. So I mean, what you were narrating, you were talking about, the cost benefit analysis, right? You compare, if you were to pay for LEC token coming through to your place, whatever you pay for that week, it would last you a whole week, and then you wouldn't have to buy fuel. Then when you pay compared to having to buy diesel fuel for that same week, how much it will be. Talk about that. That's a real life experience. So go deeper into that. How much do you pay on a weekly basis for LEC compared to buying the fuel for the same week, and then all of the benefits of getting it reliably from LEC and then getting it from the diesel side? So please explain that. Go deeper into that.
So, like I said, normally when LEC gets stable, we buy like $100 current, and it takes us a week before we recharge. If today we bought $100 current, it's gonna take us up to next Saturday before we get another, with the level of equipment we have, except for the addition of other equipment from our other operative, like the shatter, flowers and walls, have some heavy equipment to cut the marble stone for the grave and other stuff like that. But if it is just for the station, the radio station, where you have 2 air conditions, the transmitter room and that of the studio, then with the equipment in the studio, only that we can run for a week on $100 current. But if we are looking towards using the generator, in the absence of LEC, $50 current, not current, but $50 fuel cannot even take us 24 hours.
Wow.
Yes, because what's going to happen here, we run 24 hours radio. So within that course of time, if we even want to cut the broadcast time, that means we will run like 18 hours. If we are running 18 hours, we'll be closely spending towards $60 or so. It's very cost intensive. Unlike when we are using the LEC that take us for a whole week, and the generator just in a day will spend close to $60 or $80 on fuel. So it's very, very, very cost intensive when you are running a generator to that of the LEC. So when LEC is stable, we normally have a reserve for our generator. So just as soon as we lost LEC, we switch to the generator. So we balance the equation there, but when we are only using the generator, we spend more. But if we are using the LEC, we spend less.
And this is the essence of it. So your experience is multiplied across the entire nation. So whether it's a small, medium, a large Liberian business from Cape Mount, Monserrato, Magdibi, Grand Bassa, going north. This is the essence of the reality of doing business in Liberia. Energy affects every aspect of the business. The lack of energy reduces your productivity and reduces your efficiency, which ultimately leads to a reduced profitability in your business, increasing your operating costs. But you still have to then either try to figure out how to break even by increasing the prices of your products, which then increases what people are ultimately going to pay for. So because you have to transfer that cost. So as a business person, you want to figure out how to transfer the cost from yourself to your customers. And the only way to do that is to increase the prices. I think somebody just said that there's a lot of echo.
Okay, let me
So
mute.
Rufus, I think you got the mute on yours. Yeah, so this is the only way to solve this. The only way businesses in Liberia today are transferring that cost. So you have to understand this. A business person that has to come off of LEC and invest in diesel fuel and maintenance of the fuel, maintenance of that generator, that cost is going to be added on to the prices of the products in his provision shop, at his drinking spot, at his cyber cafe, wherever. He's going to transfer that cost to the consumer. And the only way he can transfer it to the consumer is by adding the cost of operating, which is heavily dependent on the supply of what? Of electricity, of energy, onto the prices, and then have those customers have to pay higher prices. So all of a sudden now people are saying everything in Monrovia is what? Or everything in Liberia is too expensive. And the reason why things are so expensive in the country is simply because the lack of this thing you see behind me, the lack of electricity, the lack of this, the effective generation, the lack of the effective transmission, the lack of the effective distribution and provision of it on a 24/7, 365 basis to businesses, to allow them to what? To grow the economy, create the jobs, be profitable, and so that other young Liberians in the economy or in the society can be innovative and be creative, so that they can take that creative energy and inject it in the growth of this country for national development, so that the government as a whole, the LRA, will be able to recoup a lot of tax dollars that will be able to effectively cover the operating costs of government in different ministries. This is how this works. It doesn't work any other way. So energy is a major thing. The other way it affects businesses, Alva just sent me some topics to add to the discussion here. Access to technology. So you may think, Liberians today are paying a higher cost for data, right? People don't think that data is expensive, but it is expensive. Why? Because the data you have to go out there buy for your Lone Star or for your MTN or for your Orange network, guess what? Those base stations or cell sites all across the country depend 100% on this thing behind me, electricity. So as a mobile operator, as a telecom operator, you are heavily dependent on this thing, because without electricity, guess what? How will your base station come on? How will your microwave links work? Okay, how will you be able to receive the call and broadcast the call to your subscribers in your coverage area? So as a mobile operator, as a telecom operator, as an ISP, your energy cost is going to have to be factored into the price of your product, and you would transfer that cost onto your subscribers. Thereby, those subscribers will say the price of data is so expensive. So we need to understand this, because this thing, electricity, this thing behind me, this thing, if you don't know it today. This thing behind me affects every aspect of life in Liberia, especially in the business community. It is so important. It is so important that we get this right. We must get this right, because so much depends upon it. So every aspect of technological advancement, interconnecting different parts of the government, the private sector, the airline industry, every aspect of Liberian life, a Liberian industry, Liberian economy is dependent upon the consistent, reliable, sustainable generation, transmission, distribution, and effective supply of electricity. It affects every aspect of our economy. So the next topic over here is lower overhead, like you just explained, Rufus. When you buy LEC power, and LEC is consistent, reliable, and dependable, guess what happens? Your profitability goes up, your overhead comes down. But once you go to diesel, guess what? It's the opposite way. Your overhead goes up, your efficiency goes down, your profitability goes down, and now you're in the red. So as a business, then you want people to come to advertise, and the guy who's coming to pay you for the advertisement doesn't want to pay your transfer costs because he is saying it's too high, but he's not factoring in the cost of energy for you. But but remember now, he's factoring it in for his side. He knows that the cost of energy for the products or whatever it is on his side is also high because of energy. So again, very important for small business, the lack of electricity, the inconsistency of it, the lack of dependability of it reduces productivity for businesses, and it reduces efficiency, reduces access to technology, and reduces the overhead for companies. So when you have consistent, reliable electricity flowing through all aspects of this country, Liberian businesses become what? More productive, more efficient. They have better access to technology, allowing them to broadcast their products and their services all across the country to smartphones, to other customers, and it lowers the overhead, thereby allowing them to be more profitable. And then they can pay their taxes. Government Liberia collect better taxes, and we can cover our cost of operating this government and growing and developing the country. That's how it works. Let's talk about the aspects of energy in terms of what can Liberian businesses do. So right now, as it stands in our country, in our nation, we have the Transco CLSG that brings which is that transmission line that runs all the way from La Cote d'Ivoire through 5 substations in Liberia. And then we also have a generation source from the 3 cross-border grids in the southeast, one in Plibo that connects into River G, the other one from Grand G that connects to Zwedru, and the other one that comes in through Ganta in through Nimba there. And then we also have the Makofe hydropower dam. And now the new solar 20 megawatts or so solar farm that was just, the ribbon was just cut for it to be built. However, that solar farm, remember, that solar farm did not come with any batteries. So that solar farm will only work in the day. It will only work from daybreak to sunset because there's no batteries. There are no batteries. So that 20, 18, or 16 megawatts, whatever capacity it is, it will only provide supply for the daytime. And then at night, it's not going to work. So if nobody understood that, if nobody knew that, let me just educate the public about that. The solar farm that was just launched for construction in the Makofe yard, there are no batteries. There are no battery storage, utility battery storage. So that solar farm will only work from daybreak when the sun rises to sunset when the sun sets. And then it will be back to whatever limited power is available from Makofe and coming in from Transco CLSG. The other topic here that he wanted me to discuss this morning is how does it affect medium-sized Liberian businesses? So the same thing again, lack of productivity, lack of efficiency. But again, one thing that I want to kind of get across today is the fact that energy helps petty businesses become small businesses. It helps small businesses to become medium businesses. And then it also helps medium businesses to become large businesses. So energy is a very important component of business growth. So without energy, that's why you see today in Liberia, you don't see business growth. You don't see the businesses growing. The guy's been doing a petty business for the past 5 years, and he can't move from being a petty business person because energy, which is supposed to help him to grow, is inconsistent, it's unreliable, it's simply not available. So the guys who are the economic planners, the people who work on the financial side and the economic planning side for the national development of the country, have a hard time because there's no growth. The engine for growth is this. There's no other engine for growth. I want people to understand how vital, how important, how critical energy, electricity is for the growth of our country. Without this one thing, we cannot grow. We cannot grow. So petty businesses are supposed to move from being petty to being small. Okay? So when you grow, so electricity helps you to grow because it helps you to what? To be profitable, to be more effective, more efficient. It helps you to lower your overhead. You can add more people, your business will grow, and then you grow from being a petty business in a kiosk, and you can go to 2 kiosks. Then you can go to 3, then you can go to 4, 5, and then all of a sudden you got multiple revenue streams coming into your company, and then you can go to a head office. So that's your growth from being a petty business to being a small business. And then you can grow from being a small business to a medium business. Rufus, let's talk about the job creation side. How do you see it if, from your perspective, being a small business or medium-sized business as a radio station? If you had 24/7, 365 electricity, reliable, consistent, be it rainy season or dry season, what do you think you could do better, do more with your radio station? Explain that to the audience so people will also be able to kind of chime in. You're on mute, Rufus. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Okay. So, like I was saying, basically, if we have constant electricity, what it's going to do for us is going to expand our air time. If we were running like 12 hours or 18 hours, it will be expanded. And secondly, what's going to happen? Our cash inflow will be high, and we will look in the direction of having more employees, because what's going to happen, the more the airtime, you need people to fit in. So we will look in the direction of hiring 1 or 2 individuals who are going to fit in from 12 to the next morning. So with that, you can have an extension of variety of programs. The airtime will be expanded, and you will have more listeners and more businesses or people gaining interest to bring their businesses to your institution, because the longer the airtime, the more interesting programs you bring, it attracts the audience. And when the audience are attracted to your radio station, what it does, it attracts business owners to advertise with you, because like what we have now, this is a program that is very rich with knowledge. So people who follow the program, the time we take to open the lines, we have more calls, we have more following. People who are interested in advertising will say, look, okay, this station have more following, this station have people who listen, so let us take our adverts there. Like that, we are gaining more businesses. Now, we're also going to look in the direction of recreating interesting programs. If we have programs that we're not reaching out, we'll look outside and get more interesting programs that are going to attract people for the flow of following and that of business, because the more the people follow, the more business people will get attracted to the station to advertise with you. So in short, with that, LEC constant flow of current, we're going to look in the direction of additional employees. We're going to expand our programs time. We're going to create more meaningful programs that are going to meet the desired needs of the people that follow us. So basically, there are three major things there that when we have the constant electricity. And one of the last that I want to also stress, our expenditure will reduce, unlike what we have as when we are running on generator. Because like I told you initially, if we have LEC running constantly, we spend less, because the time we should be taking to spend $60 or $70 a day, when LEC is on, we pay $100 and it takes us for a week plus. Yeah, mute.
Wow, this is the reality. We will be opening the phone line soon, so other people can talk, can call in from different parts of Liberia, different parts of Africa. So the reality, everyone, is that energy, electricity, like I said earlier, it affects every aspect of our national development, in any country's national development, be it Ghana, be it Nigeria. You see, Nigeria is now engaging more on the energy aspect, trying to figure out how to grow, how to develop, how to create more jobs. You look at La Cote d'Ivoire; they're investing more. And now, I think one of the greatest challenges. Let's talk about this other topic. Here it is now. We're walking up to the door of what, a dry season in Liberia, and our primary source of electricity is the Mount Coffee hydropower dam that does not have a reservoir. So it's a run-of-the-river hydro with limited storage capacity, very limited storage capacity. So Transco is supposed to be the alternative supply route. Not the Transco is not a generating company. Transco is only a transmission company. So they provided connectivity to the supply source, which is CIE on the Ivorian side. So it's so important that we get this right. We as a people, we as a nation, we as a government, we get this energy policy, energy business right. Because as dry season starts to come in, Liberian businesses are going to, experience higher inefficiency, because that's when power supply becomes the greatest and the most inconsistent. Liberian businesses will become more unproductive, because that's when power supply becomes more inconsistent. And Liberian businesses will have the highest operating costs, because that's when they're going to spend more money on diesel fuel. And that's when they will become less profitable. And that's when businesses become less profitable, what do? They will lay more people off of work. So we need to understand that unemployment is the greatest during what? During the dry season, because businesses have higher operating costs. And to reduce operating costs, what do? You go to your payroll. You start cutting people off the payroll, because you can't cover the energy costs, which is buying diesel. So that's why businesses now in Liberia, let me just tell you, you heard it here first on Business Talk. You need to start planning and putting together your dry season energy policy now. Start putting together your dry season energy policy, energy strategy, energy plan now, so that you don't get caught, in a surprising way and don't know what to do. So Liberian businesses are going to be very, very challenged in the dry season. So the question now is, what are you going to do in the next couple of weeks when the rains stop and the water stops flowing at the Mount Coffee Dam or on the St. Paul River that feeds the Mount Coffee Dam? What are you going to do when the water levels become so low that they can't turn the turbines? What are you going to do when the LEC, who's the sole exclusive monopoly power generation, transmission, and distribution company in the country, doesn't have the proper leadership to pay the bill with La Cote d'Ivoire, so that the power from CIE can pass through the Transco line and feed the economy? Because the demand is about 90 megawatts. So if they cannot pay that bill, and only one turbine, which is about 20 megawatts, can run at the Mount Coffee Dam, that means simple math: 100 megawatts minus 20, that's an 80 megawatt deficit. So that means we're going to go back to massive, excessive load shedding all across this country. All across this country. So the question now for every small, petty, medium, large Liberian businesses: what is your energy strategy, your electricity strategy for dry season? If you do not have that, you are going to crash. You are going to go bankrupt. You are going to close down. You're going to shut down, and you're going to have to lay off a lot of people. And those people's lives, their children's school fees will not be paid. So it's so important for us to get this right. We've got to get this right. Energy is a strategy. Energy is a business. You've got to approach this as a business. So Rufus, if you don't mind my asking, not to put you on the spot, Let's talk about this. What do you think could be some of the strategies that Liberian businesses could do, should do, and must do as a way to address their dry season energy strategy? What kind of plan do you think they need to put into place? What kind of plan do you think they need to talk about, think about, and be able to pull together to apply, so that when dry season comes and a massive load shedding takes place, because again, water level is going to be down at the Mount Coffee Dam. That's just the reality. We've been having dry season before I was born, and since then. Mount Coffee doesn't have a reservoir, so there's no storage capacity. Mount Coffee is a run of the river. That's just a fact. Transco is not a generating company, they're a transmission company. And the only alternative source for power is where? Is La Côte d'Ivoire. And if we do not pay the bill, the power would not come on. So what can Liberian businesses do to alleviate that beforehand? They need to start thinking about it. What do you think should be some of the strategies or think they can start thinking about to address that? Over to you.
So at the moment, for my own area of business, some of the areas we'll be looking in is that at the moment, while fuel is not as expensive as compared to the dry season, we buy more fuel, store them for a longer period of time. That's going to take us through the dry season. And another issue here, to maintain our following or our customers, we're going to cut in broadcast time. That's one of the things that will happen. We'll definitely cut in broadcast time because it's cost intensive to run the generator. So in order to save fundings, the broadcast time will be cut, and we will also look in the areas where proficiency comes in. People who are just on the payroll that are not fully, like during the EVD period, to say non-essential staff. People who are not ready, making imports as they should, like others who are multitasking, they will be put on hold for a length of time until we see improvement in our income generation to sustain the institution and maintain the payroll. So those are basic things from our own end we have created and wrap our heads around in doing, because the more the airtime, the more the fuel, and the expenses will increase. So in order to avoid all of those things, though it is challenging, but at the moment, fuel is not as expensive as it will be in dry season. So what we need to do, put in more money and get fuel in our storage that's going to take us for a longer time, because in the shortest possible time, as soon as we hit the dry season, the fuel price will increase and there will be a high demand for fuel. So at that, we won't be in a strenuous position to say we're looking out for fuel and the fuel is very low. No, we already have fuel in our storage to carry us for that period of time.
Very good strategy. Very, very good strategy. Very, very good strategy. That is a wise man talking right there. So you heard it here, everyone. As a petty, small, medium-sized Liberian business, take advantage of the reduced cost of diesel fuel at this time, in this time, during this time, when you can figure out how to buy more, save more, in anticipation of what we all already know is coming. Don't wait for it to come upon you and then you start trying to figure out a plan. Plan now so that you can anticipate what is coming. And that's the best strategy. And what we're talking about here is an impending doom. Okay, I don't like to sound like someone who's saying that bad times are coming, but this is just the reality. The reality is that dry season is coming. And we've been at this point before. We were at this point last year. So we're coming right back to where we already know. So there are expectations. And this all comes down to management. You see, so that's why we talk about business from the perspective of putting together the right team. If the right team is not at the head of driving the car, if you don't have the right cohesive team between the driver and the cowboy, guess what happens? You will never be profitable in the transport business. So that's why the coordination has to be there with your team. The team has to be cohesive. We talked about this from the time we were talking about the 10 success points. You remember that? We talked about must-have passion. We talked about knowledge about the industry. We talked about experience. We talked about setting specific goals. We talked about vision, right? That a leadership must have a vision. We talked about creating a mission statement. We talked about having a master plan. We talked about building a team, an effective team. We talked about teamwork makes dream work. We talked about accountability, who is accountable to who, and we talked about a positive work environment. So when you sit today and you look at the LEC, who is responsible for this one task in this country, which is to provide sustainable, reliable, all the time, every time, all day electricity for the growth, the development of this nation, its economy, and stimulating creativity, innovation in the business sector that will propel, that will move this country forward and attract diaspora investment and foreign investment. You've got to ask yourself, is this the right team to make this happen? Is this the right team? Because so much depends on this. Here it is, Rufus is explaining. He as a company has to put into place a dry season energy plan, energy strategy, so that he as a company can exist throughout the dry season. So now what does it mean? When you listen to what Rufus was talking about, he's going to have to cut back. He's going to have major cutbacks. So if Rufus is going to be doing it as a company in his business, what do you think is going to happen to businesses all across this country? And don't forget, Montserrado has the largest power distribution grid for the LEC. The largest power distribution grid, transmission grid for the LEC exists where? It exists only in Montserrado, because Montserrado is the nerve center. That's where this thing behind me, the largest transmission grid, interconnecting grid, exists where? At the Mount Coffee Dam. And then from the Mount Coffee Dam, which is the heart of the generation source for Liberia, it then radiates out. So that means the greatest amount of inefficiencies in business, loss in businesses, lack of productivity in business, lack of profitability in business, and the highest amount of layoffs, right? The greatest number of unemployed people are going to exist where? In the Montserrado area. So that means businesses in Montserrado, you need to now focus on your dry season energy plan. Start buying fuel now so that you can store it up and then use it during the dry season to offset. So you buy cheaper now, then you can use it, and that difference in there can be your profitability. And that means Liberian businesses are going to lay a lot of people off because they won't be able to cover the cost. And that's why it's so important that the team, the leadership, the management team that has to oversee this great infrastructure, this great business, this great company of ours, the LEC, it's the people's business, because it is owned by all the taxpayers, the voters, the citizens of this country. It is owned by, for, and of the people of this country. That the leadership team that would take over, that would lead this company, must understand the energy business. They must have a passion for the energy business. They must understand the role that they play in this economy. That without energy, this economy cannot grow. We cannot attract foreign investors. We cannot grow, be profitable. We would not attract the diaspora money back into the country. We would not be able to add value to our natural resources and create more jobs in the process. So this is important. We will not be able to provide this energy into the education system so that our young people will be able to use new technologies that will help them, improve them to compete in the future. So energy is the key. Energy is the key. Electricity is the key. But in as much as it is the key, the leadership, the team, the management team must be people who understand what their role is, understand what their responsibility is to this country. Because if we don't do that, then we as a people will not grow. Then we as a people will not transform from poverty to prosperity. Then what will happen is poverty will continue to be where it is today. We will not have new businesses. We will not have new companies. We will not be able to grow. We will not be able to move from the lower level to the higher level. Small businesses will not become medium-sized businesses. We will not create more jobs. We will just have investors coming into the country, exploiting natural resources and exporting them in the raw form. And we will not be able to grow our economy. So this is the reality. This is the reality. So when Rufus comes back, what we're going to do, since we're at the top of the hour, we're going to open up the phone lines, and we want people to call in, talk about your own experience, what role energy plays in your business, what role, what your energy strategy for the dry season, and what do you think we as a people, we as a nation, we as business people, what do we need to do moving forward? Because there's no way around it. The LEC is the LEC, and they are the sole exclusive monopoly company for generation, transmission, and distribution of electricity in the country. Transco is there. The infrastructure is not coming down. It's a beautiful piece of infrastructure. La Côte d'Ivoire is an energy partner of ours. But we as a nation, as a people, we need to strive, drive, and push for what? For energy independence. Write that down. We need to build independent energy infrastructure in this country so that Liberia can be energy independent, and then all the excess energy, right? All of the oversupply can be put on the Transco grid and sold, and then energy can be a major export for we, the people of this country. And that's important. So I really want everyone to kind of write down your questions, join the discussion today. We will soon be opening up the phone lines, and I really want participation today. I know there are silent listeners out there, but I really want us to chime in on this, because whatever the new leadership team is going to be at the LEC, who they will be, and I'm not concerned about that. But I just want to make sure that new leadership team that will be coming in understand the 10 essentials of business. They must be passionate about the energy business. They must have knowledge of the business of energy and the energy business. They must have experience in the energy business. There must be a resume where they have applied strategies to grow the energy sector, to build the energy sector. They must also have an understanding. They must have an understanding of the energy business as a whole. So it is so important. It is so important that we get this right. We must understand this. We must get this right. We must understand that the new leadership team coming in must have the vision. They must have the vision. 1 minute, please. I'm getting a call here from Rufus. I think he just sent me a message saying that again, LEC just went off. We just experienced a power outage, and we came back on, and I'm doing the interconnection. Yes, I got your message, Rufus. So there we get it. Yeah, we're on the air, and then the unreliable power supply, distribution, transmission network of energy of LEC power just went off, and Rufus is downstairs trying to do the transfer from the LEC supply over to the generator supply. So yes, Rufus. Yes, Rufus. So there you have it. So just when we're broadcasting, LEC goes off. So we want the new team coming in to have a vision of where they want to take LEC to, where they want to take this country. Because again, the reality is the new management team that will be coming in to lead, to direct the policies, the strategies of LEC must understand their role. They must have a vision of where they want to move this country and take what? The LEC grid for transmission, distribution, and generation. Um, they must have a mission statement as to what they want to do, what they should do, what they can do to move this country forward. They must have a what? They must have a master plan, not something that's up in the sky. They must have a practical working master plan of how to develop strategies, implement plans, and do things at the practical level that would bring about transformation in the economy and in the lives of the people within our borders. Again, that leadership team, there must be a team. There must be a team because teamwork makes dream works. Because if there's no cohesion on that team, then you have what? You have a team that's not cohesive. And when you don't have a cohesive team of people working together to drive a vision, to drive a strategy, and to execute a plan, then what you will have is you will pretty much have what we currently have today. Power going off, businesses dying, cannot grow, economy cannot grow, and we just continue to falter. We want so that that new team coming in can be accountable to the people of this country, accountable to the leadership that appoints them there. We want accountability with KPIs, key performance indexes, so that if they do not meet the KPIs in the first quarter, second quarter, the first year, the second year, third year, they can be fired, terminated, kicked out of office because so much depends on that leadership management team at LEC for the growth, the development, and the transformation of this country, not politically, but economically. Economic transformation is what this country needs. And without a cohesive, practical, knowledgeable, experienced, and visionary management team at the LEC, this country will not move forward. It will not move forward. So we want that, we demand that as business people in this country, because our money is investing in Liberia. Our money will generate jobs, our money will create jobs, and our money goes to the tax base of this country. We also want that leadership team to what? To create a positive working environment at the LEC that will attract good talent, good experienced employees to want to be a part of the LEC management team, that will want to be a part of the LEC engineering team, the accounting team, the finance team, the procurement team. This is the key. This is the key. We've got to drive this. Energy plays the very important role in this country, very important role in this country. So, I mean, by the time Rufus will soon be coming
For the
back home.
program.
Okay,
Business talk. Gain valuable insight.
Rufus, you're back. So before we go to the phone line, give us your experience just now.
The reality has shown up, so there's no need of us, come to one conclusion. It's nothing about politics. It's about the reality. Nobody tried to put no politics in this one. This is just the reality. The same old thing we were talking about, it show up. That tells you these are things that we're going to be going through during the dry season, where power outage will be on the increase. And if you are not up to the task to have a standby generator, you'll be off the game. And this business is all time bound. You won't have people tune into your frequency and only hearing the dead air. They will switch to another frequency. So with that, and you have another burden on you, because those customers who have paid the
There you go. And power quality is affecting the broadcast. The reality of business in Liberia because of poor power generation, transmission, and distribution through the LEC
Station
grid is
that is on air.
Liberian business. Go ahead. Go ahead.
They would rather go to a station that remains on air and not to stick with you. You are on today, like how do you call it? The flower on today. Few minutes you are dead. No, so people want effectiveness. I cannot pay my money for advertisement. We have agreed on the time frame, and then when I tune in, all that I hear is the dead air. So I will definitely switch to another institution. Then you become a dead man. In our local parlance, we say the person I'm a dead man, meaning you will be owning that institution that paid you for the advertisement. So these are some of the challenging moments when it comes to running a radio station and looking at the poor electricity availability.
Let's open up the telephone line so we can hear firsthand from Liberian businesses all across this country. So please get ready to call in, or you can, if you're listening online, if you're watching on Facebook, you can put your questions in the Facebook chat, and we will then be able to discuss it or add it to the program. So Rufus, please put the telephone numbers up. Call in 0887-105-105. That's 0887-105105 or 0778-665073. Once again, Lone Star 0887-105105 or Orange 0778-665073. Please call in and let's talk about your experience with the issue of LEC affecting your business, or electricity affecting your business, and anywhere in Liberia, or the lack of it, or the provision of it, the availability of it. Let's talk about it here today. You know, on this, before the caller comes in, one of the other big alternative energy policies that we need to consider looking at is the role of solar energy, even though it has a high upfront cost. But I think building mini solar grids in different parts. Okay, we got a caller there. Let's go.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Joseph Escuta. I'm calling from Bonaswan.
Joe, let's hear you.
I've been following the show, but sometime like about 3 weeks ago now, I wasn't having chance to follow the show. But however, I'm happy to be back on the show again. You know, the issue of this energy is something that is challenging almost everybody in Liberia. Like you were saying, old. When pouring go all like that now, the sunny can be on the bridge. I say like the technical issue. And to that, you don't know that the power also because several times on school FA can happen, several times on several registrations can happen. So the issue of electricity in Liberia is just not a problem to small business, but it's also an opportunity for business people to come. But one thing about Liberia, we love to put politics inside everything. And the government want to control everything. There is no need. I keep saying this. There is no need for LEC to control or power in this country. I mean the government. There is no need because study has shown that a half of government to just have a company for it to boom that. Let's say for example, LTC supposed to be an authority.
Hello. Hello. It seems like he's been.
Sorry, my mini finish. Sorry.
I know. Oh, he's been harmonized. But he made us say something though.
Yeah. So the point is this, right? So what he's talking about, let you know, one of the things that businesses can do, one of the things that businesses could do is they could work together to invest in a small solar power system that can be in a specific area that can effectively distribute to feed 2, 3, or 4 or 5 businesses. So if you work together, co-op, pull your money together, make an investment with a solar energy company. There's so many of these guys running, these businesses across Liberia, Monrovia today, and they can come do the calculation between your business, 2, 3, or 4 businesses, and say, look, we can build a mini solar grid over here or mini solar system over here that can provide 75 kVA or kW of power, and we can distribute it between 3, 4, or 5 businesses. That way, the upfront investment cost can be shared between 2, 3, or 4 or 5 businesses, as opposed to one business making the 100% investment. So I think there are creative plans and creative strategies that can be brought about in the energy space. But I think it requires knowledge and understanding and strategies that can be applied for Liberian businesses to pool their resources and then build these small power systems. Like, for instance, on the street where you are, I mean, 100 kVA or 100 kW worth of solar power on your street could solve a lot of power requirement and power needs for several different businesses. They're feeding off of that. This person gets 10 amps, 20 amps, 30 amps, and stuff like that, so that power can solve many Liberian businesses there, and everybody will pool their resources so that the load can be shared in terms of the initial capital investment can be shared. I'll tell you what, there's a company here called, they came to visit my house a couple of months ago. And their business strategy in the US is that they are a solar utility. What they do, they come to your house, you negotiate a PPA with them for your house, and they tell you your energy rate is going to be, let's say, 16 cents per kilowatt hour, but there's no upfront investment. You don't pay any money upfront. But they would own the equipment. They would deploy the solar system on your roof, put the batteries in if you want batteries, or if you want to be on the utility for the nighttime, and they would provide power in the day. They would put the solar power system on the roof, connect it into your breaker panel, do the interconnect and everything, and then what happens is you pay your bill. But they own the equipment, and then when you have and they would come out and do the periodic every 60 days, 90 days, check on the system, clean the solar panels on the roof, and your recurring payment offsets the payment for the infrastructure. So I think there are creative strategies that can be done in the energy space that will allow Liberian businesses to survive all of the inconsistencies, the irregularities in the energy sector. But again, it requires creativity. So please call us up. We want people to call in. Please call in with your comments. Liberian businesses that are really being affected by the energy, the lack of electricity, how it's affecting your business, affecting your payroll, affecting the prices that you charge for material in your store, in your business, cyber cafe, drinking spot, wherever it is. Please call in. We want to hear from you on the show today, how the lack of electricity is affecting the efficiency, the profitability of your business. Rufus, what do you think the blackout issue will be this coming dry season? You think it's going to be worse than before, or you think it's going to be less impacting on Liberian businesses? Because it is coming during the dry season, and that's when Liberian businesses are going to lay off more people. I think you froze there. Your power again. So what we talked about today is energy. Please, I mean, if you're watching on Facebook, please put a comment in the Facebook section here. Let's talk about how energy is affecting you. Jusu from Kakata is saying that.
They will not do it. And the currency is getting like, I think
when any company want to start in this country or to do anything, they will not bring you money. They will say, okay, they want a bottle of looking, you will pay a bottle of hard to. You want my looking, you will pay my hard to. People will take the money to keep it in the same piece of paper and one and self and the librarian level still be the same. So I want to see that one of the challenges because you get the running of radio station, people follow you, a quarry go, your whole station go up.
think we lost Rufus on the broadcast again. Power issue. He's on generator. He's on generator supply. So there's going to be inconsistency. So one of the things the reason I'm really driving this energy issue, the reason I'm really driving this energy issue is because as a business person and who understands the business of energy will transform Liberia. We have echo. Mute your side there. Yeah, we have the energy solution for Liberia will indeed transform Liberia. This there's no doubt about it, and we need to get this right. We need to get this right if we are going to be a transformational democracy, and we want to transform the lives of the people in this country. Quality of life needs to increase or improve. Our young people need to go to schools, university, colleges. Here it is. We just had graduations, Rufus. You just had so many university graduations across this country. Where are the jobs? Where are the jobs for these young people to work at? There are no jobs. The economy is not creating any jobs because of the inconsistency in the energy sector. The inconsistency in the energy sector deprives investors from investing their money and getting a good return on their investment. The lack of energy across this country causes, people just come in, exploit natural resources and haul it out. That's all they're doing. They're not adding any value to it. The lack of energy across this country is causing the diaspora cannot really make an impact in the economic space for transformation in this country. The lack of energy is affecting how government operates with all of the inefficiencies because the networks, the IT networks that are supposed to run effectively depend on 24/7, 365 electricity to provide interconnectivity between the central bank, Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, Ministry of Health. All of these agencies, government entities are all supposed to be interconnected so that information, data can be shared and moved between them in real time. So that when data is moved and shared in real time, then the proper decisions can be made in real time to mitigate, to address challenges and issues. Energy is the key. And I don't understand why this is such a hard thing that we can't get this right. It affects every aspect of business. Rufus explained his story today. It affects their profitability. Here it is, the dry season plan for Liberian businesses is that prices are going to go up. Prices are going to increase more in the dry season because businesses are going to have to transfer their higher operating costs into the prices of their goods and their services. So that's going to also affect everybody, what people can buy. So that is why we as a country, we as a people need to push. We need to drive this energy issue because it affects every aspect of our lives. I mean, There's no politics. Anyone who wants to politicize this is simply a person who does not want a solution to come forth. There's Echo Rufus. Yeah, anyone who's trying to politicize this very, very grave, critical, vital issue for this country's development and transformation, economic transformation, that means that person does not want a solution. So what do? You politicize it so that nobody talks about it. So everybody runs away from it because people say, well, it's politics. No, it's not politics. We need to address energy, electricity. The management team, the future management team of LEC has to be one that understands the energy business, because so much depends on energy, jobs creation, economic growth, economic transformation, new roads, new bridges, infrastructure, attracting foreign investment, education, healthcare, you name it. Every aspect of this country depends on energy, electricity. So that management team that the president will be deciding on in the coming 30, 45, or 60 days, that new management team has to be one that understands the energy business. We cannot allow another team that will come in there that doesn't understand the energy business.
Let's hear you.
Yeah, so I want to appreciate you, Mr. Rufus, and Mr. Ekana Philip, for the level of education and providing each and every Saturday. You people may not know what it is helping out greatly. And in regard to the topic today, electricity is really very affecting.
Oh, yeah, we lost it.
Yeah, and, you know, I mean, Liberian businesses, I don't know why they're not calling, but because they're being affected by this whole energy thing. I mean, energy is indeed the lifeblood of this economy. You know, I mean, if Liberia is to transform, if Liberia is to grow, energy is the only way that it grows. From Magidi, I mean, look at the airport. Look at the airport. I mean, to this day, you've got an issue there. You cannot get big carriers into the airport. You cannot get big international carriers into the airport. We cannot reestablish our hub status for West Africa. Why? Energy, the lack of electricity. Electricity is affecting the Roberts International Airport in major ways because it is inconsistent, it's unreliable. And no one is going to land a $300 million plane at an airport that has inconsistent, unreliable power. So, I mean, it's so critical, it's so vital that we get energy right. The Port of Monrovia needs to operate 24/7. Why can't we get the real level of profitability and operation at the Port of Monrovia? Electricity. We got a caller. Let's go.
Liberian will get access to electricity. But being that government want to burn everything, that's why you see the issue of quarrying Benin is an issue. But I called on the show one time and I asked for your host number. You gave me his WhatsApp number, but since then now to present when I check, I cannot get a response because I'm a tech entrepreneur and I'm looking for someone to mentor me and also or show me the way to the market. So,
But did you read You said the number is 0776
Yes, 79
79
91
91
75.
75.
Yes, I have
Seven
female man profile.
77. Are you female, man? You see that some of the thing there.
I'm a
776.
female man profile.
My man,
776.
776
Yes,
799
yes.
175. Things that you need to do is to move that female. But man, you are male, so use your picture. Let the people get to know that you.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah, my man.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to Mr. Phillips, he's very critical when it comes to those things. You are good. Then you using female to communicate with them.
I see.
You using female to communicate with them. You don't put a man to watch again. You know? Is that Phillips?
Here, yes, I listened to some of his comments. He said that he's a tech entrepreneur. He had been trying to get in touch with me. I just got his number. I just added it to my WhatsApp. So I just sent him a short message, praying hands. So I will reach out to him today to hear what he has to say. The other good thing is that last week we had a caller on the show from Cape May County. The gentleman who's the pineapple man. I think he's listening today. I talked to him. We're investigating some opportunities. I think, again, for them, electricity, energy is the issue. It's a huge opportunity, very, very big opportunity in the agro-processing sector. But energy is the challenge. So we're trying to figure out how to get a solar microgrid in that area that will support the processing of pineapples and turning them into juices so that they can be brought into the market for value added and supply. I think, again, Liberia is at a very, very critical point for investment opportunity, especially in the agro-processing sector. But the agro-processing, agro-value add, agro, business sector, it is so reliant, 100% reliant on energy. And that's where creative minds need to really, really come together. Let's connect. Let's have a discussion about how we can solve energy, do microgrids, solar microgrids in specific areas for industrial parks so that these people who are in the agro sector can bring their cassava, their pineapples, their mangoes, their guava, their collard greens, and whatever it is, and then other Liberians can buy their machines and do value add so that we can feed the local market and also export. I think that, but again, energy, electricity is the bedrock, is the foundation, it is the main ingredient. And that's why, I'm lending my voice. So I would never stop talking about electricity because it's not political. It is something that's fundamental. Robert Morris, when he was running, that was our flagship campaign, goal. Let there be light. Energy is the key, and it continues to be the fundamental, foundational issue today. And now, like I said, the new incoming management team that the president is going to be deciding in the next 30, 45, or 60 days. Mr. President, if you're listening, you need to put into place a management team that is 100% Liberian, We don't want expats in management out of our power company. It's unfair. It's unjust. It is just fundamentally wrong. We want Liberians. They're competent, capable Liberians, both in the U.S. and in Liberia, who can deliver results. We want to, like I said, Rufus, I think you agree with me. From the beginning of this show, we started talking about not this show, but just this, this business talk. We talked about the 10 essentials. We want a management team that must have the passion for the energy business. We want a management team that will have the knowledge and the understanding of the energy business. We want a management team that has the experience in the energy business. Let their resume show that they are not just engineers, but they are people who understand the business of energy and the role that energy plays in a developing economy like Liberia, developing country like Liberia, and what role they will be responsible for in the transformation of this country. We want a management team that will set specific goals to achieve KPIs, key performance indexes, that they will be held accountable for. We want a management team that will have the vision to lead this country, to move this country, that to understand that their vision and the execution of that vision through specific goals and strategies will bring about the economic transformation of this country, to move people from poverty to prosperity. We want a team, a management team, that would create a very good practical mission statement as to what LEC's new vision will be, what their goals will be. We want a management team that would come in with a master plan. They must have a master plan as to where they're going to move this company to, where they're going to, and then in that movement, in that new direction, what transformation they would bring. And we want a management team that would create a teamwork. There would be a team. There would be cohesive. They would have the proper knowledge and understanding to drive this company forward. And then by them driving forward, they would pull this country forward as well. We want a management team that will accept their level of what? Of accountability of the role that energy plays in development and economic transformation of this country and the well-being of the people. And last but not least, we want a management team that would create a positive work environment in the LEC so that young people will be attracted to this company, so that we can bring in more talent that will bring about transformation in the company. So please, we want people to call in today. I know some people are solid listeners, but call in and let's talk about electricity before we go off. We've got about 15 more minutes on the show. So that's what I'm pushing to make sure that the new team that the president will be deciding on in the next 30, 45, or 60 days will be a team that will lead this company forward, and in them leading it forward will bring this country forward as well. One of the institutions that I have great respect for is the Rural Alternative Energy Agency in Liberia, because they're the ones driving and pushing micro solar grids for this, for all aspects of our economy. I think that's very, very important. Liberians need to engage in solar energy. Do we have a caller there, Rufus?
No. I was just announcing the numbers.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So please call in. Please call in. Let's read some. Mr. Jusu here is saying that unfortunately we have the wrong people in the right places. And that's the key. That's the key. When you have the wrong people when you have all the wrong people in all the right places, then you cannot expect transformational change, development, and progress, because the guy who you have driving the car doesn't even know how to drive the car. And the guy who you have as the navigator doesn't even know how to read the map. So how do you expect them to get to the final destination? They would take you somewhere, but wherever they would take you every time will always be the wrong location.
I think that would benefit people. You're not hearing from the young people, you're hearing from the older folks, but I don't know why this small country would just get interested in politics to the extent that one things that would benefit us, we would jump over and just in no way. I'm very disappointed, man. Very, very disappointed, to be
You
honest.
need not to be disappointed, my brother. These are things that happen, and we only need to keep talking. Those of the positive minds need to keep talking. Those who can pray, keep praying for our country, because this is not something that is ordinary. It has a spiritual link. Yes,
Wow.
it has a serious spiritual link. Trust me, the last time we had, last Sunday we had but if we take up the time and to do the things that are meant to be done, trust me, Liberians, we are very creative. We have the mind, but with where we are and the kind of spiritual connections.
Rufus, the point you're making about the spiritual aspect of this is very, very profound. And I will, as we come to the world towards the ending, darkness does not darkness does not promote progress and prosperity. Darkness does not improve the quality of life. Darkness does not create and support life. Light is life. So we need to, if we're going to move this country forward, if we as a people are going to move forward, if we as a people are going to grow, if we as a people are going to excel, if we as a people are going to become transformational, if we as a people are going to have to get out of this valley of the shadow of death, we are going to have to get this energy right. There is no other way out of this thing. I mean, you can't climb over it, you can't go under it, you can't go around it. You've got to go through it. Electricity, electricity, electricity. We've got to get it right. So you got to ask yourself, why is something so straightforward, so simple, so challenging? Why is it? Why can't we get this right? Why would you go and spend three, four, $500 million to rebuild a hydro that already from its inception, before it was destroyed and while it was destroyed, did not have a reservoir? And you go and you rebuild the hydro once again without a reservoir and expect that to be transformational change? No, you're right back to where you started. Mount Coffee, before it was destroyed, did not have a reservoir. You get all the money, all the engineers to rebuild it, and you rebuild it like it was before. The only difference you did was you increased the capacity, but you rebuild it without a reservoir to store the water, because the energy for hydro is in the water. Just how with solar, the energy comes from the sun, but you store the energy for nighttime in the batteries. That's how it works. So you got to ask yourself, why are we doing this to ourselves? And like Rufus just brought up, it's a spiritual challenge. So the only way to break out of this is to get the right people in the right places, and then so that those people can craft the right strategies, build the right team, and move this country forward from darkness to light. And then the transformation can come in jobs creation, progress, economic growth, and national development can take place in 2, 3, or 4 years. Liberia will be a transformed state, a transformed nation, and we can become energy independent. That's just fundamental, Rufus. That's just, this LEC thing cannot go away. This energy thing cannot go away. This power issue cannot go away. Liberian businesses cannot grow, will not grow. There'll be very few businesses growing, but the overwhelming majority will just remain petty business, small business. And until we get this energy thing right, or we come together and address the solar microgrid opportunities and build these small islands of energy to support agriculture transformation, that's the only way forward. That's just the reality. That's just the reality.
Well, time is fast spent. Mr. Phillips, your parting comment?
Well, to everyone who participated on the show today, thank you so much. Next week, Ava will be in, and we're going to be doing some magnificent things in the new week. We're going to be upgrading our StreamYard, and so we'll be on more platforms. That's a big thing that's coming next week. We'll have more people tuning in. We'll have more people tying in. We hope that the electricity issue will be solved for the station so that we'll be able to continue our broadcast all across the radio land. But to everyone who participated, thank you once again. It's always been a pleasure. It will always be a pleasure to talk about business. And today, energy and the role it plays for economic transformation for small, medium, and large Liberian businesses. Thank you for calling in, those who called in. And Rufus, once again, thank you so much for being the host and being a partner in this. And to all of those who tied in and listened in and watched on Facebook, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Be safe. And let's reconnect. Let's meet here next week. Same time, same station. And we're also thinking about doing something midweek, Rufus. So just to let you know, something midweek as well. But we'll do that probably midweek 100% on Facebook Live. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Love you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alkina Phillips. We appreciate your knowledge for every time you come on here. We appreciate all that you do, and we look forward to having a full house on next Saturday by God's grace, where Mr. Alval Toba will be here joining us from minds are developed, the eyes will appreciate the works of the hands. Two things in their life you always be remembered for: the problems you first divine Canaan. Do have yourselves a wonderful and God bless day. Further the rest of our broadcasts. Up next is Order Jazz with Eddie Gibson.
Business talk in 1 hour 30 minutes. We provide